Okay.
I'm returning.
I know that I'm very high.
Plus 13, plus 3, 16 right now, so it's like...
So, if I'm finding the midpoint of a line segment, all it is in words is the mean average of each coordinate. So, for example, if I look at the two x-coordinates, which fall right here, x1, and right here, x2, the x-coordinate of the midpoint will be the mean average of those two x-coordinates. And how do I find the mean average? How do I find the mean? Someone refresh my memory. We just did statistics. So, yes.
You add up all the scores and divide them by how many scores there were.
Bingo. Add up all the values, divide by how many there are. How many x values are there? 2. x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And it is a coordinate, which means each number is separated by a comma. And that is kind of important because if you forget to put that, it's not a coordinate, and you're wrong. And it's also going to be the mean average of the y-coordinates. So that orange length right there means that the midpoint will fall, the x-coordinate will fall right in the middle of that orange line somewhere. And for the y-coordinates, there's y1, and there's y2. That the y-coordinate midpoint will fall right in the middle of that green line. And of course the y-coordinate will be the mean average of the y-coordinates as well. So let's do an achieve example to find the midpoint of a line segment. An achieve example. Okay, so I've got my 2 points which say these would be the endpoints of a line segment, and this is strictly just plug and chug into my midpoint formula. Okay, and I guess we do have to remember one thing, that that's x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. So when I substitute those into the formula, I get this. That's what I get for my midpoint. Sorry about the brackets being so spaced out, but that happens. Okay, questions? Let's try a merit example, and a merit example is where you're given the midpoint and you have to find one of the x or y coordinates of the endpoints. So achieve is kind of going from endpoints to midpoint. Merit is going to be midpoint to endpoints. And we just have to use a little bit more algebra. So let's try that. Okay, so I'll start working this one out. So since I'm given, I didn't state it in the problem, but that represents an endpoint, and I did say that's the midpoint. Okay, so what that means is that this guy right here is, this one is the first coordinate of x1, comma, y1. And I want to find the second coordinate of x2, y2. It doesn't state that, but That's really what I'm figuring out. The x-coordinate and the y-coordinate for that second endpoint of the segment. Okay? So if I know the midpoint, which is right here, what I'm going to do is substitute that midpoint into m of my midpoint formula and figure out kind of two equations at a time. So let's figure out x2 first. So after I set this up for the x and the y, I simply solve this by properties of solving equations. And if I want to get rid of that 2, that's divided by 2, so I multiply it by 2 to the other side. And I get a simple equation there. I minus 4 from the other side. It's positive 4 there. So I subtract it to the other side and I get negative 10. That's my x-coordinate. And I do the same for over there. Why it's over 2, remember, because that's part of the formula. Okay? That's my formula there. And it's a simple algebraic equation. Sort of simple, I guess. Multiply the other side by 2 and I get 10 equals 7 plus y2. Subtract 7 from the other side and I get 3 equals y2. And I did it like this on purpose, with x on the left and y on the right, because that's how we write a coordinate. So q is going to equal negative 10 for the x-coordinate and positive 3 for the y-coordinate. And those merit problems, most of the time, will be working backwards like that, which is a pretty manageable problem.